This is the craziest thing I have ever seen in my years in crypto and stock trading, guys. This is pretty crazy. Luna down 80% plus, sitting at $2.35. We've just got a fresh tweet from Kwon. So hot off the press, we've got the plan of action, which he shared with us. We're going to go through that. We're going to go through what's going on with the peg. It's now sitting at 42 cents. What wider implications does this have? Is there a chance that Luna can be saved? That's the question on everybody's mind. There are a lot of people who, on the one side, have huge bags of Luna, which they didn't sell or trim or take profits off, which you guys know we advise. And then you have this whole bunch of people who are looking to now enter to take a really risky gamble, those who weren't in Luna or UST, to try see if this can recover. So let's break this down. Let's try to understand what's going on. We've got this huge CPI reading in a couple of hours, which the market's going to be looking to, but this has just seemed to eclipse the news today with Luna continuing to fall. $2.40, guys. This was not a small project. This was a huge project with a lot of people invested in Luna. I don't know a single crypto influencer slash person with a diversified portfolio that doesn't have a little bit of Luna. I've got some Luna. Fortunately, it's a slice of my pie which doesn't affect the wider portfolio, but nonetheless, this could have huge ramifications for the crypto industry. So we're going to get into that. Sit back, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. These videos are brought to you by our very own course member live streams, ijaz.uk/member. Let's get straight to the chart, guys. Look at this, $2.40, and it just continues to bleed. I'm sure you guys have seen this chart. This is not pretty, right? For a top project like Luna in the top 10 market cap coins to fall like this. This is something you expect from a meme coin. In fact, meme coins have held up better than this over the period. So let's put some respect on, Doge and Sheep's name right now, because Luna has just fallen. And we need to understand what is going on. The Luna coin is sitting at $2.40. We've got the peg here on Coinbase Exchange sitting at 41 cents. This is horrible. This peg has to stay in this line. It has to be at $1. And it's sitting now at 41 cents, and it just continues to get worse. Now, if you've not watched my 2 videos on Luna previously, make sure you go watch those, because it really does explain into detail what went on, right? Was this coordinated attack? What could have happened? And in essence, what we're seeing is whatever it was, this whole bunch of shorting and selling has put pressure on the peg, and the peg does not seem to want to restore itself. We then had Kwon coming out to say, look, we're willing to defend this peg, right? We'll defend this peg at this point. But unfortunately, that's going to lead the bad actors to therefore know where you're defending the peg. And I'm going to come on to this later on, where we're going to go through some historical similar cases to do with George Soros versus the Bank of England. We'll also look at the Hong Kong situation, because this has happened in fiat currency, right? Let's not pretend like this is just a crypto issue. This happened time and time again with the fiat currencies, and we're going to go through them, and more importantly, what were the outcomes? What actually happened? Because a lot of people new in the crypto space or just new in investments full stop will go, okay, how do things like this end, right? So let's look at some historical examples later on to kind of find out what happened. But first and foremost, let's get straight into the tweet fresh off the press from Kwon, literally 55 minutes ago. He's been silent for quite a bit, right? He says he has this plan. We're waiting for this plan. A lot of people asking me, am I buying the dip? Am I going to be buying Luna? No, I'm not buying any more Luna whatsoever until and if I see a clear plan. And even if there is a clear plan, the problem is this reputational damage? You're only as good as your reputation. Is this reputational damage too much for the Terra community to overcome over the long run? So let's go through this. Kwon says, Dear Terra community, I understand that the last 72 hours have been extremely tough on all of you. Know that I'm resolved to work with this work with every one of you to weather this crisis, and we will build our way out of this. Now, first and foremost, you got to put it out there for Kwon. Like, whatever, because if you've been a leader in anything, I've led small companies, I've led SaaS companies, you feel the pressure, right? When your system goes down, when you're affecting people's lives, you feel that pressure. And somebody like Kwon, whether you like it or not, is a smart chap, right? He's a smart chap. He's young. He's a bit naive. He's a bit inexperienced, like we all are in the crypto space, because it's a new space. And the reality is, he could be making a lot of money doing other stuff, which is a little bit more easy. So we have to commend the fact that what he was trying to do was a bit of a noble effort in trying to create an algorithmically backed stablecoin. Now, some people are saying, maybe there's some more nefarious stuff going on. Maybe he set this up on purpose as like this, infinite loop to continue to take people's life savings. Well, whatever that is, Kwon's getting a lot of stick right now, and a lot of that must be very, very hard to take. And we know that's a normal kind of theme in the Twitter space, right? We speak a lot about Andre Cronje in this space, and one of the reasons he left crypto. It can become very difficult when people start attacking you. Then he says, First, if you don't understand the Terra peg stabilization mechanism, here's a good overview. We'll skip that. For a review of the current situation, UST is trading at 50 cents. Yep, we've just seen it at 42 cents, a significant deviation from its intended peg at $1. Yeah, thanks for that, Duo. The price stabilization mechanism is absorbing UST supply, over 10% of the total supply, but the cost of absorbing so much stablecoins at the same time has stretched out the on-chain swap spread to 40%, and Luna price has diminished dramatically, absorbing the arbs. Okay, that's the arbitrators. Before anything else, the only path forward will be to absorb the stablecoin supply that wants to exit before UST can start to repeg. In other words, he wants to let the ones that do want to exit get out, but that's going to have a significant cost to it. He goes, we propose several remedial measures to aid the peg mechanism to absorb supply. First, we endorse the community proposal 1164 to increase the base pool from 50 million to 100 million, decrease pool recovery block from 36 to 18. This will increase the minting capacity from 293 million to 1.2 billion. Okay, so that's his first thing. In other words, this should allow the system to absorb the UST more quickly, because remember, like he's saying, he wants to get rid of the UST that wants to leave before he can start focusing on the re-peg. More ideas will be discussed at the community forums. With the current on-chain spread, peg pressure, and UST burn rate, the supply overhang of UST, i.e. the bad debt, should continue to decrease until parity is reached and spreads begin healing. Naturally, this is a high cost to UST and Luna holders, yeah, no doubt, but we will continue to explore various options to bring in more exogenous capital to the ecosystem and reduce supply overhang on UST. Now, in terms of this exogenous capital, we've heard some rumors, right? Shout out to Larry Cermak, and this various other people have tweeted similar. There is a rumor spreading around that Jump Capital, Alameda, etc. could be providing another $2 billion bailout of UST. Whether it's true or not, it makes perfect sense for them. Even if they can put it to $1 by some miracle, the trust is irreversibly gone. And this is what we were speaking about, right? Even if they could go get the funds, even if they could go and show we've got 2 billion, we've got 3 billion, the reality is if you've got bad actors out there, and we can speculate about who these bad actors are, right? Is it the state? Is it the incumbents? Is it the fiat system? Is it Wall Street? Who is it that's doing this? We can argue that even if you had 2-3 billion to support, that's not difficult for them to do, right? It's not difficult for some of these big boys on Wall Street who, by the way, will be looking at Anchor Protocol and for this whole year will be annoyed that people are, the average retail investor is staking their money on Anchor Protocol and getting 18 to 20%. They won't like that when on their high street, they were getting your money for free, right? So you got to understand there's a lot of people with a lot of incentives to go and attack this network, okay? And that's just away from the standard arbitrage, which I'm going to come on to, which is what George Soros was doing when he broke the Bank of England, okay? So we're going to come on to that. That's just in terms of just being a capitalist, right? Shorting and taking the arbitrage. So even if somebody didn't have a bad intention, which I've just said, there are plenty of reasons why they could have a more nefarious reason to go after a decentralized, algorithmically backed stable coin that is allowing people to get 18% yield versus the high street banks. But even without that, there is a financial reward for doing so, right? And the way you build blockchain technology, smart contract platforms, particularly algorithmically backed stablecoins, is to make sure you've covered off all the economic incentives. And it seems like this was overlooked. And one of the particular things was that this system was never automatically collateralized. Right, it was running for all this time without that, and Kwon only recently started to build out his reserves. Even then, it wasn't set up in a systematic process where it will automatically trigger the reserves when needed. And whoever was the bad actor would have seen this, right? Kwon was posting this publicly. He was telling everybody he's building out these reserves, and it became perfect opportunity for the bad actor to attack before the reserves were ready, because Kwon would have been finished with his reserves in a few, maybe 6 months more from now, or whatever his roadmap was. He would have been done, and this kind of attack wouldn't have worked. But the reality was they timed it perfectly, and his reserves were no longer useful. The other slight mistake, and obviously these mistakes are so easy in hindsight, right? Like, because you're seeing everybody, criticize Kwon and various others to say, oh, this was so obvious. But he did post out where he was willing to defend the peg, and that was a kind of an obvious one that everybody did point out, is you shouldn't be so clear in these attacks that this is where you're going to defend the peg. You should be a little bit more coy with it, because somebody is attacking your network, and you can't, the art of war, you can't show all your hands at once, right? So that was an important thing to mention there. And we're going to come on to, let's keep going here actually first. Naturally, this is at high cost to UST and Luna holders, but we have to bring in exogenous capital, right? So whether that's jump capital, whether it's Alameda Research, fine. Let's assume they can go and get another 2-3 billion. Let's go say they can defend the block. But now whoever the bad actor is just knows that 2-3 billion, they just need to go get 4-5 billion, shake the market again, let him recover the peg, get back up to 90, and then throw it back to 40 again, let him recover the peg, get it back to 90, throw it back down again. It could just become a horrible, horrible exploit, which they need to completely rethink. As we begin to rebuild UST, we will adjust its mechanism to be collateralized. And this is an important point. You've got a lot of people who have always said, and myself included, guys, like I am happy to hold Luna, as in I've held Luna in my portfolio, because I believe in the ecosystem. But in terms of how the algorithmically backed stablecoin itself worked, you always need collateralization. And if any of you have been watching my videos for a while, this is something I've spoken about a lot. I never staked anything on Anchor Protocol because I just never felt comfortable with the way it was built, with the way something never felt right with the whole UST mechanism and the Anchor Protocol. Because where things seem too good to be true in terms of 18 to 20% APYs, oftentimes there is something that's being overlooked. Oftentimes there is a rehypothecation problem where money's being lent out and lent out and lent out. And this is where you need to stand clear. And yes, a lot of people ran after this, right? 18, 20% yield, but I stood away from it. And that's kind of held me out the right way. I did follow my instincts on that. Now, obviously, it's easy to say, in hindsight, everybody's right. And I don't want to be that person. There's a lot of people out there who are saying, oh, yeah, I told you so. Look, my technical analysis was telling me Luna was going down to $20. Yeah, this has nothing to do with your technical analysis, mate. It's nothing to do with your Fibonacci's. This was a black swan event, a crazy attack, a coordinated attack. All these things had to align for Luna to now be sitting at $2.30, right? So this is, no person can sit there and say, oh, we predicted this. Load of rubbish, right? This was a crazy situation. Took a bad actor, took a weakness in an ecosystem, and it got exploited. And we're going to come on to how some of those fiat currencies had a similar situation. The Terra ecosystem is one of the most vibrant in the crypto industry. Fine, as long as these builders build, TFL among them continue to build, we will come out of this together. Terra's focus has always orientated itself around a long-term horizon, and another setback this May, similar to last May's, pointed back to the fact that they depegged in last May, will not deter the lunatic. Short-term stumbles do not define what you can accomplish. It's how you respond that matters. Okay, so pretty much as we expected from Doe. I'm just reacting live to this. I mean, initial reaction doesn't get me too hopeful. I don't feel like he's come out with much substance in this in terms of how he's going to fight the peg. Maybe he's being a bit coy this time, which would be good, right? As long as he has a plan, but how do we understand that until he reacts? Clearly, he's still in a battle. Whoever these bad actors are, they continue to act. You've then, on top of this, got this death spiral, self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You've got the markets, which are completely down anyway. So this is just a perfect, horrible recipe for this situation to happen, right? The actors did this at the exact right time. And that's why I want to now move on to when these have happened in the past, because they have happened in the past. And the first one I want to mention is George Soros, right? So George Soros famously in 1992 attacked the Bank of England pound. Right? So at the time, the British pound was in something called the European exchange rate mechanism. And the whole point was they wanted to keep the GBP, Great British Pound, pegged to the Deutschmark, which was the German currency, DEM. They wanted to keep it pegged together, okay? By the rate, I think it was 2.7 DEM. Now, in the end, George Soros continued to short until the British government were eventually forced to withdraw from this ERM, the European exchange rate mechanism. Okay, so it just goes to show that's what happened. Now, in the end, the currency improved and, the GBP is where it is today, which gives us a good kind of story. But it wasn't the first time it happened. We then had George Soros go and attack the pesos in 1995. But then in 1998, and there's various other Asian countries which suffered as well. I think the backed currency got attacked. And then the Hong Kong dollar got attacked, okay? So again, George Soros and other international speculators on August the 13th, they really did started short selling a whole bunch of Hong Kong dollars, okay? The Hong Kong stock index fell by 60%, guys, 60%. You had the Hong Kong property market deflated by half, and the GDP shrank by 5.5%. But the difference was in this story, China came out and backed, so Beijing came out and backed Hong Kong, and they said we're going to start buying $15 billion US dollars worth of stocks and futures, okay, to fight against the short. And eventually they drove out the speculators because they had that much buying power. And then over the longer run, this was then worked out really well for the Hong Kong dollar and the unity with China as well. And at the time, you got to remember, Hong Kong was the underdog. Okay, Hong Kong was the underdog. This was George Soros and international speculators who had destroyed numerous currencies before them. This wasn't the China and Hong Kong of today. They were weaker back then, right? And you had George Soros and the international speculators who had defeated the Bank of England. They went and defeated the pesos. They defeated various other currencies on its way in Asia, leading up to 1998 when they went after the Hong Kong dollar. But again, that buying power really did help them push that back. But what's going to happen here? Where is Do Kwon going to get that kind of level of funds, exogenous capital, to help him fight this, right? It's a lot of money at short notice. Where is he going to go and get that? And that's the question. That's the question we need to kind of look at today. So you're sitting here on Luna, and this is where it's horrible, guys, because this could work two ways now. You got Luna literally sitting at $1, guys. We've lost a little bit more whilst we were talking here. And this is where it gets difficult, because you got your CPI reading coming out in the next couple of hours. If that comes out positive, the market can rally and Bitcoin can start working to higher levels, right? But if that continues to fall to the downside, because you've got Bitcoin sitting here precariously at 31,773, Bitcoin's waiting for the CPI reading. If the CPI comes in too hot, we're going to go test 30,000 again and maybe fall towards 29, right? In that case, can you imagine the extra pressure this then puts on Luna and the delicate situation going on in the Terra ecosystem? Now, if this rallies and we have a good inflation reading and Bitcoin can start working its way to 32,000 and 33,000, then that could help Luna get a little bit of respite. But the question is, I can't be investing in Luna, as cheap as it is right there at $2. And it could be it could probably be the best risk to reward play, right? You could buy Luna today and all you're going to lose is $2 here, okay, to the downside. Or you can run this up to potentially a 50x straight back up to $100 if they're able to resolve this over the next year or two. But that's the risk. That's the risk, and I'm not here to gamble, right? I don't place gambles. Loads of people have started placing that. Loads of people started purchasing Luna, sitting here at $2. But when something fundamentally has gone wrong, this is the difference. You always hear me preach about have conviction. When something like this has just gone on, I have zero conviction in the project right now. I don't know what Do Kwon's working on. I don't know what his plan is. I don't know where he's going with this. And for that reason, as good as an opportunity as this is, and for as much as this could 50x from now, I need that clear plan. I need the team to come out and say, this is what we're working on. This is how we're coping. These are the bad actors. This is what's going on. This is our fund we've got. This is our reserves. This is how we're going to make sure it's automatically allocated to protect the peg, etc., etc. And then you can start buying in. Now, I appreciate you may have to buy in at a later point. Maybe by the time Do Kwon announces such an amazing plan, the price is back at $10, $15, $20. But that's far better risk reward for me to hold a project than to sit here on the edge of a cliff, sitting at $2, not knowing what the plan is, not knowing what's going on. I'm not going to be deploying any more capital whatsoever here. So there you have it, guys. There's what's going on. The latest news with the Terra ecosystem, Luna, UST peg. Absolute nightmare. This is one of the craziest things we've seen in crypto, and this is not good. I don't want to drag this video on too much longer. We're already sitting here at almost 18 minutes there. But this is going to have huge implications. We already have Janet Yellen talking yesterday about more stablecoin regulation. She picked up on this, right? She's not stupid. She picked up on this, and she's going to, it's going to fuel the conversation around trying to make things more difficult for crypto. And I understand. I just gave you examples of how this constantly, only 20 years ago, was happening in fiat currencies. But again, the incumbents don't like crypto, so we've got to be on our best behavior, and things like this really don't help. I mean, this made the front cover of CNBC. This is not good, right? And they're just calling this a speculative game because they don't know what Terra is. They don't know what Luna is. They don't know that this is a project that was building over many, many years and has the trust of a lot of people. They just call this a cryptocurrency experiment. So not a great time for the ecosystem. I mean, a lot of people still do back Do Kwon to get this sorted. I think his intentions are there to get it sorted. It's just whether it's out of his control, whether he can muster up the skills and the funds and the capital and the resources to fix this challenge. No doubt he'll die trying, but the reality is I'm not riding on this boat until I see a clear roadmap to how he's going to recover the peg. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget to smash up the like button and subscribe. If you appreciate my perspectives, consider joining our course member live streams, ijaz.uk/member. Don't forget, CPI reading is coming out soon. We'll cover off what happens with the CPI reading and how that moves the markets. Don't forget to join our pinned Discord, the free public Discord, guys. Over 700 people in there talking about crypto, talking about all these cool things. Jump into there, ijaz.uk/Discord, and I'll see you in the next one.